Hi everybody! Today is all about color. I'll be working in my mini sketchbook today, and I'm going to go ahead and clip the pages because they do not want to stay flat anymore. I'll be using acrylic markers and acrylic gouache, and it's hard to see here, but I went ahead and painted the pages a white acrylic gouache just because I didn't want the acrylic markers to lift up any bits of paper from the page, which it has done before in the past. We'll start by drawing a simple grid. You don't have to worry too much about the lines being straight. I didn't want to waste time getting out a ruler. My only concern was making each square of the grid somewhat equal in size, just so it looks a little more uniform in the end. But the focus of today's sketchbook page really isn't doing exactly what I'm doing. It's just getting out your colors and having fun. I decided to do triangles for this exercise, but you'll see in the next one, I do a little bit more of a complicated design. And you're free to do whatever you want. Maybe do circles or hearts, or even just do the squares like a checkerboard pattern. Whatever gets you into your supplies and gets you into all the colors that you have. So the premise here is ridiculously simple. It is filling up shapes of color next to one another. You can use this to experiment with all of your colors, or a group of colors you've never used before, or a group of colors you're really familiar with. This is one of my favorite types of sketchbook pages because it doesn't require much thought, but the results are always really satisfying and sometimes really surprising. And this particular time, after I completed a few of these types of pages, I got super inspired. And I took the idea outside of my sketchbook, and you'll see at the end of the video the project I came up with. So for a while now, I've been toying with the idea of sending out a newsletter to those of you who enjoy watching these videos, because I simply have more ideas than time, and I can't always make videos out of all the ideas I have. So if you're interested, I'm going to leave a sign up in the description below. It will be for a newsletter that will have more sketchbook ideas in it and maybe some thoughts about art and some new tools I'm using. So I'd love for you to sign up if you would like to receive them. As a cute little extra, I'm going to be sending out some gifts, some freebies to the first 25 people who sign up. So stay tuned till the end of the video and you'll see what I'll be sending out. Now, I'll be honest, at one point during this first sketchbook page, I looked at it and said, ew, I hate these colors together. And I seriously thought, I'm going to stop and try again with different colors. But what I have learned, more often than not, you'll always come to that point when you're making art where you don't like what you're making. So I pushed through and I got to the end and I surprised myself and I'm like, this really isn't all that bad. And I did take away some new color combinations that I don't think I ever would have used before. So on this last triangle, I messed up and my marker got a bit too juicy and got ink on the wrong triangle. But I've said this before for sure, this is why I like these pens so much, is because they're so easy to cover up. So I let it dry, painted over it, and it was fine. And here we are, all finished with the first page. And if you want, you could take this a step further and add white lines between each triangle or little details inside of each triangle, whatever your heart desires. Now, as I mentioned before, I did another page, and this time I used some more acrylic gouache. I have all of my favorite colors in tubes, and I mixed some shades of my colors in this plastic palette as well. And the design I chose were 2 flowers, and to make it a little more interesting, I added a grid to each flower and separated it into 4 sections. And then I painted each part of the flower a different color. I did use my acrylic markers as well as my paints just to have a broader range of colors. And I used all of my favorite ones from the design I had done before, the triangles right next to it. Once the sketch was finished, it was pretty much as simple as the triangles to fill in, although it did take a little longer with the paints because you have to find the right consistency. You have to dilute it a bit with water to make the paint go on smooth. And of course, you're working with a paintbrush, so that's a little bit more difficult. But the result of this page was really cool, and this is the one that I decided to take outside of the sketchbook in a little project you'll see in a moment. My favorite color by far in all of these pages ended up being this really cool minty green. I don't know why, it provided a lot of contrast for that purple right next to it. And I've had this little bit of a love affair with this color for a while. If you end up doing this project, I'd love to know what color ended up being your favorite or what color combination. Please let me know in the comments below. And here are how these sketchbook pages turned out. They were so much fun to make, and they're so satisfying to look at. And you'll see I jump right into the project afterwards. I took the flower shapes and I turned them into a bookmark. I got in a little over my head because they're much smaller than they were in the sketchbook page, but they were a lot of fun to paint as well. I used tiny brushes and just little dabs of paint and sat back, listened to a podcast, and painted this bookmark. I also used some of my acrylic markers. I dabbed the marker onto a page and lifted up the color with my teeny tiny paintbrush. I think you could make a lot of projects with this type of design. I'm even toying with the idea of doing it on a canvas. Here is the finished bookmark. I love how bright and bold it turned out. And if you're wondering about that giveaway I mentioned earlier, I turned this into a digital file and I printed it out and made it into a bookmark. I've also been playing around making stickers, so I turned each little flower into a sticker. They're a little glossy on one side, and then you just peel off the back and stick it to whatever you want. I'm going to stick mine to this sketchbook, and I'm going to use my bookmark in the middle. So if you sign up at that link below for the newsletter I'm going to send out, I'm going to send away some of these stickers in bookmarks. So if you'd like to have one, please sign up, and I'd love to send this over to you. Thank you once again for joining me. It was so much fun, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.